Welcome. What up? Happy Sunday. Good evening, Eric.
Good evening, Todd. How's everyone? How's everyone in the stream?
How is everyone in the stream? Hope everybody had a good weekend that is sitting in our chat right now and watching in the future. We are Cast and Camo, and we are your Snakehead Punters leader. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. If you can't catch them, punt them, right? Isn't that the old saying?
That's what I heard. You just punt Snakehead.
You know, the good thing is I think some people may have gotten a football contract offer today. Maybe it's possible.
Maybe.
Never know.
Did he get it?
Congratulations, if so. All right. You know, it's going to be a controversial night. We might as well start out with some controversy right there. I am very good at pissing people off, so there we go. Let's start off just pissing everybody off. All right. So, just our friendly reminder at the beginning, our housekeeping items. We are, for everybody that's watching on YouTube later or listening on SoundCloud and hopefully soon iTunes or Spotify, we are live on Twitch under the name Cast and Camo every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central. So if you want to be a part of the stream, if you want to be part of the conversation, tonight's going to be all about conversation. Come on in, check us out, give us a follow on Twitch, Cast and Camo on Twitch. And if you're watching Twitch and you say, hey, I want to see some of the past videos, you have options. You can go to our website. If you're in our chat, ! website. If you're not in our chat, it's castandcamotv.com. You can check out our old or previous episodes on the website or on YouTube. And YouTube, our name is Cast and Camo TV. So that's awesome. And we have some awesome sponsors. The first awesome sponsor, who is coming back, I believe, on April 7th, Mr. Wild Bill, Texas Select Seasonings. Don't forget to use your discount code Cast and Camo, all in caps, to get your 15% off all of your barbecue and meat seasoning needs. And Smokey saying we need merch. ! Website. There is merch. We got merch. I've got my, what are these? Camel toe bottles. Camelback. We got our Camelback Cast and Camo water jugs. We've got t-shirts. You can get your own Vex Kwando t-shirt or hoodie even. It's there. It's all in the merch section on the website. More to come soon. And I had to put in the merch, Eric, I had to put in website. That's merch, but it's okay. You're from Kansas City and we know it's, it takes a little bit of time for things to sink in. So much barbecue sauce on your brains. We get it. Probably from using so much amazing seasoning from Texas Select Seasoning. By using Cast and Camo as your discount code in all caps, get 15% off. Also sponsored by Sea Arc Boats. We got Sea Arc Boat hats on. Those guys are wanting to come back on. Hopefully soon we can get something in the works to get them back on. They want to come back on. It's just a matter of timing. There's a lot of freaking outdoor shows going on, and they're spread pretty thin doing those shows. So we'll get them back. Deer 30. We had those gentlemen on a couple weeks ago. Fantastic, a lot of fun. Cast and Camo 24 for how much off, Eric? How much is that?
24%. 24. Get it? Should be 25. But
should be 25, but they're cheap bastards.
Maybe in 2025 we'll go to 25.
Maybe. We'll see. Let's save that money. Everybody go to those sponsors. Save that money. We've got commands in our Twitch chat for all of our sponsors. ! BBQ, ! CRC, and ! Deer 30. Check out their websites, get your orders in. There's a ton of people that ordered stuff while we were live with Deer 30 that night, which was super awesome.
I think everyone got their stuff too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. What did you? Because funny, I was gonna wear my Deer 30 hat tonight.
No, I did not. Thursday, they were supposed to meet with me. Guess what?
I'm just saying.
Yeah. We didn't
Eventually
have
we'll get our Deer 30 hats.
And shirts.
Yeah. Maximus, there's 2 A's in CR just to help you out a little bit there. So check out our sponsors. Give them all the love that we can. We don't quite have a discount code for Sea Arc boats yet, but who knows? Maybe someday we'll get there. So last week, let's recap last week real quick. Last week we had Hunter Base from Salt Plains Outfitters. We had some little turkey talk time. Turkey season is approaching quickly. I know a lot of people, it's going to be my first time turkey hunting. So I'm excited. Everybody tells me I'm going to be hooked. Once you go one time, you're hooked. So, I mean, I could think of worse things to be hooked on, like crack cocaine or meth, right? I'd rather be hooked on turkey hunting.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now it's time for everybody's favorite segment of Casts and Camo each Sunday night. It's our fan letters time.
You've got mail.
You've got mail. Oh. And we have a very special email. The first email, I looked ahead. I pulled some strings. And I got a very famous person to read the email because the email is directed to Chief Eric. So I said, you know what? I think this is the first email that was sent in specifically for Eric. So I'm going to make it special and I'm going to pull some strings and call in some favors. And I got the celebrity that wrote the email. First of all, I'm impressed that the celebrity wrote an email to you, but I actually got that celebrity to read the email aloud. So I'm going to play the audio. And then I got to be honest, it's a little hard to understand because he's got a very distinct voice, right? So let's take a listen before. Well, you know what? I'll pull up the email so we can all read along with. It's from Mike Tyson, so I'm giving it away a little bit. But let's listen to what Mike Tyson has to say.
I told everyone you should be a boxer. You still in there with me in my hardest punch like that. Cause don't worry about your face. It should heal like that. He splits. Sincerely, Mike Tyson.
Wow. How about that?
Really?
The one, the only Mike freaking Tyson. And I know, like I said, he's got a very distinct voice and it's a little hard to hear. So I'll read it out for everybody. I'm not going to do it in the Mike Tyson voice because it's too hard. But hi there, Thur. See, I told everyone you should be a boxer. You stood in there with me and took my hardest punch like a kith. Don't worry about your faith. It will heal lickety split. Sincerely, Mike Tyson.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you were so worried about things from your surgery recently, but I go with this, that Mike Tyson punched you in the face and you took it like a champ. Well done.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate
email number 2. Another one directly to you.
Yeah.
Dear Eric, you never sent me the security deposit, so I'd like my patch back now. Sincerely, the best pirate ever, One-Eyed Willie. Well, you've got all the celebs up on your case, huh?
Yeah. All right. Wow. Go ahead. Take some more punches at me.
No, Mike Tyson already did that for you. I would never.
Yeah.
All right. Dear Cass and Camo, German, nickname for a little fellow. From Low German dialect, word meaning buttocks. Sincerely, Oxford reference for the definition of the word borts. See, we're educational. We are the more you know type of podcast, and we're teaching you words now. So now, thanks to the Oxford reference for sending that email in. Thanks, first of all, thank you very much. And now we know the definition of the word borts. It means little fellow. It's a nickname for a little fellow, or the word of the meaning is buttocks. It's amazing.
Oh, you're gonna get your ass beat so bad.
Love you, Borts. I do a circle. I can't do a heart. There we go. There's the heart. And we actually have a 4th email this week. It was a busy week on emails. So let's take a look at the 4th and final email. Dear Todd. Oh, it's to me. I sure wish you would use the same products that PB uses for his beard to make us all nice and solid black rather than a mixed bag of black and white. Sincerely, your beard. So my beard wrote in saying I should use the same dye that PB uses for just for men beard might be. I don't know. I would have to ask him what products he uses for that strikingly black beard. Or I can just run with the salt and pepper beard. I don't know. Who knows?
Oh, you are really pushing it tonight.
You've got mail.
I told you it was going to be controversial night. Very controversial. We haven't even gotten to our topic yet. But people can read.
You got any green on tonight, by the way? I do have a little bit of green.
No, I couldn't really do green because everybody would just see right through me because of the green screen. So
that's true.
Couldn't quite pull that off. I have camo sweatpants on, so that kind of counts.
Okay,
that kind of counts. Mm-hmm. But thanks everybody that's hanging out already in our live stream on Twitch. It's great to see everybody hanging out, and I think you're going to want to be a part of this discussion. This week's going to be a little bit different. We don't have a guest. We have a topic, and it's a very pointed topic based on current events. Again, all we do is bring you current event information and have the best conversations. And tonight we're going to talk about the controversial topic that is currently hot in the state of Wisconsin, my neighbor. And I'm torn because it's Wisconsin, and they've always had a good quarterback. They have more lakes than us, technically. For once, can we please, for once, they get to use 2 fishing rods, 2 fishing lines, and we only get to use 1, except in the winter. Finally, Wisconsin is going to maybe do something stupid, ? Or smart, ? Don't know. The topic tonight is Livescope, forward-facing sonars, FFS, to the people that know what we're talking about. 360 imaging. Are they going to ban it? That's the quick and dirty question is Livescope, forward-facing sonars, 360 imaging going to be banned in the state of Wisconsin? They're the first ones that are going towards this landmark. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And we've been watching YouTube videos, and I got some cool things to show everybody at some point. But I think it's a great conversation to have. And so let's start off with kind of getting a baseline of what are we talking about. In Wisconsin, every spring, Wisconsin has. I don't think every state has this, but Wisconsin has something that's called the Wisconsin Conservation Congress, and they send out these questionnaires with a whole bunch of questions, and the questions aren't just slapped together, because I want to make sure that we're giving the legitimacy to what is actually happening in Wisconsin. It's not just a bunch of people that are throwing this idea out on social media. This is really happening. But it happens every year, so it's not targeted just to Livescope and 360 imaging electronics. So on the questionnaire this spring is question number 22. And let me read aloud what it actually says. Ban Livescopes and 360 imaging, 360 degree imaging locations in Wisconsin waters. With the ability of these types of units to detect fish as far as 180 feet from the user, anglers have become more efficient at locating and catching fish. This type of pressure could reduce fish populations, which may lead to reduced bag limits for anglers. And then underneath that, it says, would you support banning the use of Livescopes and similar 360 degree imaging electronics in all of Wisconsin waters? And that's where we get. So before we even get into the debate or the discussion, I want to be very clear. It's not on the ballot right now. It's not about to become legislation and law. They're in the very early stages, and all they are doing is simply asking the residents of Wisconsin, would they support the ban of those electronics? And if they do get overwhelmingly results of support, and I think April 8th, I believe, across every county in Wisconsin, there is conservation meetings at each county. So you can go to these meetings and discuss the questionnaire. And so, and I'm assuming everybody's going to say, screw the rest of the 28 questions or however many there are. We need to talk about number 22 because it's going to probably bring the most amount of discussion. If they get a lot of support, and then because after the April 8th and I think April 10th through the 12th, you can go online through the Conservation Congress website or whatever they probably have, and you can cast your ballot or show support or non-support of each topic. If they get that support, then it goes to the state and it'll either pass or not pass. If it passes, then it becomes law. So they are still, just to be clear, they are still pretty far away from actually banning Livescope, but it is on the docket to at least be discussed. And I'm assuming we're going to have a lot of input from our viewers tonight. And if it seems like I'm doing a lot of the talking or most of the talking, Chief is feeling a little under the weather tonight. So I'm going to do my best to not make him talk if he doesn't want to. But obviously, as always, feel free to jump in. So I mean, there's so many directions this could go, right? Because based on what we have seen, and we've already talked about this today for a while, are we going to talk about it in the general sense, or are we going to talk about it from a tournament sense? There's pros, there's cons to both. There's pros and cons to these types of electronics, right? And there's so many different takes that people are having, and it feels very much like the political world that we're in right now here in the US, where you've got one side, and they're just completely clashing. And there's really it's either you're for it or you're against it. It's either the best thing or it's the worst thing. It's either ruining fishing or it's the thing that's helping fishing the most. And I think there's a lot of truth in both sides, to be honest. There are a lot of good things with Livescope, and those same good things with that type of sonar or that type of electronics can be perceived as a bad thing for fishing, right? So like they're saying on the questionnaire, these types of electronics are making it easier for anglers to find, locate, and catch fish. Now, the key there is find, right? You can find fish, but you could always have found fish, right? Even before we have 360 imaging, you have sonars, you have side image, you have down image, you've got tools on your boat or on the ice or wherever you're fishing to locate fish. Livescope and the 360 imaging and the forward-facing sonars make it easier, absolutely. But side imaging made it easier than before we had side imaging, and all these things made it easier before. And one of the things I kind of thought about today as I was coming up with talking points is this kind of like, you remember back in the Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire era of baseball? And it was steroids, right? And one of the arguments, are we looking at the fishing version of steroids in baseball? It helps you find fish easier. Does it make them bite? Compare that to steroids. Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire were taking steroids, and Jose Canseco. Just because they were getting bigger and stronger from steroids, they still had to hit the ball, right? It's still a 97 mile an hour fastball coming at you. You still have to make contact. Eye, bat, there's still skill involved there, right? Now, obviously, I'm jumping like big time. Steroids bad. Don't do steroids, kid. And so, okay. These types of sonars are not like changing our bodies, but it's kind of a similar analogy, don't you think? Or am I way off base there? What do you think?
It's exactly that. I mean, as we progress, you're going to just tonight, me and Todd listened to a gentleman talk about the pros and cons of Livescope. And the guy had really good points tonight. First of all, Livescope, one of the good points of it is it points the fish that is right underneath of you right now, to where your graph and your side imaging, as you go over the fish, they're behind your boat. They're already gone. When you see it on your graph, that fish is already 10, 15 feet away from your boat now. To where the Livescope, you can drop right on top of the fish, and you're just waiting for the fish to bite. So some of the negative that's been put out towards this has been, well, you're seeing the fish, you're standing right over top of them. All you're doing is waiting for the fish to bite now. And that's some of the negativity towards it. And the positivity is, it is actually lure companies are coming out with, which I just learned tonight, they're coming out with these soft plastics and all these different baits because of this Livescope. And I didn't know they were involved in that. And so do you think they're going to ban it when you got all these big companies, Lowrance, Humminbird, all of them putting thousands and millions of dollars into this? And now these plastic companies for baits and lures that are making because of it, I think they're going to have a real hard time to fight this where all this money's involved in it.
Oh, I mean, it's the old saying, money is the root of all evil for good and bad. And when you get, probably we got to be close to billions of dollars, right? It's not just the hundreds of millions that they're pumping into making this equipment and getting it out there. It's the revenue and it's the expansive world of fishing. And that's a lot of money, and a lot of money is very powerful. I don't care where you are or who you are or what you're talking about. If there's a lot of money involved, there's a lot of power involved. And I want to stay away from the political side, more on the political side as much as we can. But that is a part of it. It has to be. You can't ignore that fact that there is a lot of money and a lot of lobbyists, I'm sure, that are going to be knocking on doors, right? And it's always because the second one state does it, that just opens up the gates for other states to potentially go down the same path. And the debate is really, is this a good path or is it a bad path? Or is there somewhere in the middle that we can get to? And I like to think there's always a middle ground, I want to kind of go back. I want to go back to the part on the actual questionnaire from Wisconsin. Anglers have become more efficient at locating and catching fish. The one thing I don't understand, and I'm open to hearing all sides, because I really don't have a dog in this fight. I really don't care either way. I have my own thoughts on Livescope that I'll share, but it really has nothing to do with what they're talking about. If you have a limit, let's pick on walleyes. Let's pick on walleye. If you have a limit in Wisconsin, I don't know what the limit of walleyes is in Wisconsin, but let's just say hypothetically it's 4. If the bag limit is 4, the bag limit is 4. If you catch 4 fish in an hour and a half, or you catch 4 fish in 10 hours, what the hell's the difference? It's still 4 fish. You're still taking your limit. That's where I struggle with understanding why would they need to adjust the bag limits because people are more efficient at catching fish. It's still the same amount of fish either way. Am I completely an idiot there?
Well, I think we're going back to what that guy said on the video tonight. They're finding the fish that are there right now. Yeah. And all they're doing is dropping so if we'll just say everyone has a Livescope, these people will be able to locate fish live right now, and all they got to do is drop their. Now, if you didn't have that Livescope and you was using a graph, and you go over top of the fish with your graph, that fish is now 10 feet behind you when it comes up on your graph.
Yes.
All right. So they're saying now you're going to have to look for it. You can't just drop the bait right on top of its nose. Right. You're going to have to figure that at least it's a little bit. But before we even had graphs, what did we do then too? People had to try to go out and learn how to fish.
Yeah, you need to learn the lake, learn the structure, learn the fish, learn the baits, try. But but it's still, to me, it still doesn't matter.
And I'm not for it or against
Right.
it.
Yeah, I think
right now, I'm definitely not for it or against it.
Yeah, I think you and I are on the same page there. We don't really have.
I don't have it. We're just trying to be the middleman here.
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand and kind of think through both sides. But the part that's where I would love for somebody smarter than us, apparently, that could explain why being more efficient equals more fish. Because if you have a daily limit, if you catch them in an hour and a half, you can't go back to your house, drop the fish off, and go back. People do, but people do that now. They did that before there was forward-facing sonars. And Joker, you're not smarter than us. Don't even try. You don't even know what you're talking about.
Wait a minute. I was just going to say this. Wait a second. We've got Ozzy and Joker. Doesn't old timers smarter than us young bucks?
That's true.
So we could ask Ozzy and Joker to step up to this, you know?
Yeah, what did Joker and Ozzy, what did you guys use before there was electronics? So that's a good question.
I'm going to get my ass beat.
Well, I lost my train of sundials. Ozzy says sundials. Excellent. And you know, I think one of the things that makes this even more complicated is I think the use of Livescope is different, even though it's the same technology. It's different for different species, and most of the people that I have watched and listened to on this topic have been screaming about this with bass and bass tournaments. And I could definitely see where it would be a much more of an advantage in a tournament for bass if you're using a Livescope compared to somebody that's not using a Livescope. Not because it's easier to catch fish. I'm going to continue to say it. They still have to bite, but the efficiency. And I think that's where I have most of my problem. And I haven't read that comment yet. I'll get to it. But where I have my problem is going back to the comparison to baseball and steroids. And if it's a competition, everybody should have the same electronics or the same ability. And I would assume, I don't know. I don't follow whatever the bass leagues are, the professional bass leagues. I don't follow them. But I would assume 98, 99% of those people fishing on the professional tour have Livescope in their boat. I would assume they do. Why wouldn't you? You're sponsored by everybody.
Do we have anyone on our channel that has a Livescope right now?
That's a good question. Who put a one in chat if you have Livescope?
I'm just interested to see how many people actually do have it.
And so I'm going to take first of all, I got to read the comment from Joker. We used to have our grandkids swimming and they would tell us when they see fish. Awesome. And now they have their own grandkids as old as you are. So RC Medic says guides in Mississippi were hurting populations of crappie with Livescope. I see. Now I'm just playing devil's advocate. How does Livescope make that guide hurt the population of crappies? If he has a crappie spot that he knows of, whether he found it with Livescope or found it with side imaging, down imaging, or other technology, if he knows that's where the crappies are and what they're biting on, that Livescope doesn't change the fact that he's taking a limit of crappie. And if he's taking more than his limit, that's a completely different conversation than Livescope. That's illegal activity, sir. There's no gambling at Bushwood. You can't take over your limit. They would make multiple trips in a day.
Yeah.
Okay. I see what you're saying there with different people because it's a different group.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying, but I would still say, regardless of having Livescope or not, he's going to go to that spot where he knows the crappie are. Was he more efficient to find where the crappies are? Absolutely. I'm sure he was. But if he is a good angler, a good fisher person, or he or she, they're going to put in the work to go find the fish. And last time I looked, fish still move around. They do move. And yes, Livescope helps find and watch the fish move so you know what they're doing, which is, again, that's kind of brings us back to the original problem that a lot of people have with Livescope, if they have a problem with it, is it's just too easy.
Well, the other question is, and we talked about this earlier, Todd.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a Livescope and I have the money to buy a Livescope and Todd doesn't, is that some of the problem too? Because he can't have one? You know, I just wonder if maybe some of this is even a little bit of jealousy too. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. Yeah. It has to be a part of it. It has to be a part of it. I'm sure it is a part of it. Is it the biggest part? Maybe not, but
Maybe no.
there is some of that. I ain't paying no 50 cents for no Coke. Well, then you ain't getting no Coke.
Well, I think we need to bring up too the cost of it. So if you use the Livescope with the two transducers, from what I understand, one for ice and one for open water, correct?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it's like $3,200 for if you get the ice bundle, give or take.
So if you don't get the ice bundle and you don't have ice and you got open waters and you're using it, then it's like $2,200.
Yeah, I think so. I think again it varies.
Yeah,
probably somewhere between $1,500 and $2,200.
Yeah, so it could be a substantial difference, but I mean, I know what Hummingbird side images cost me several years ago. They were like $3,500 a piece too when side imaging come out. So yeah, it just, and not everyone had. When I had side imaging, I was like one of the first people, and that was because of our TV show and Hummingbird contacted us. That was like one of the first people to have side imaging. And the fire departments didn't even have them then for river rescues. And they're wonderful for that. I mean, they're some of the best stuff in the world. And I imagine now with this Livescope, these fire departments are going to be going to this Livescope now. So
yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So on to what you were just talking about with the price, and you can afford it and I can't, which is probably accurate. Money bags over here to my.
No, I don't. No, if I had the money, I'd have a boat sitting right out there by the garage right now.
Maybe. CR,
just
give us a call.
Yeah,
CR, give us a call.
Todd, can we trade your boat in so we can get a CR?
That's right.
Yeah.
So going back to the question on the questionnaire, this type of pressure could reduce fish populations, which may lead to reduced bag limits for anglers. So now let's take that, what they're saying right there. So for a lack of better terms, it's a threat. If we don't ban it, we may have to cut back on the bag limits. And again, I don't understand that point of view, but now because I can't afford a Livescope, now I'm being punished with lower limits than because you're making, if you're going to use Livescope now, because of that, I can only catch less fish. You talk about putting one group of people against the other quicker than that. I mean, holy shit.
Well, if they were, and I'll tell you, being a past conservation officer, if you were going to do that, how many fish are illegally poached for getting 2 or 3 limits, and they've never reduced that because of that? And that's where it should be. If they're going to blame something, then the poachers that take more than their limit a day, if you have a limit of 6 trout, I've known people to take 20 trout a day, 25 trout a day. Why? I mean, I think they're reaching somewhere totally different.
But, and I want to kind of go back to what RC Medic was talking about with the situation where you have guides using 360 imaging and they're taking 2, 3, 4 times the limit because they're bringing different groups out there. Now let's take a step back and let's talk logically. Maybe for commercial use, you can't use Livescope. Or for commercial use, those bag limits are lowered. That could be part of the middle ground. I'm thinking off the top of my head, but if that's what's going to cause part of the problem,
your ass too. You know, at that point in time too, I think they would have legitimate concerns also. And bitches.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I'm sure. Yeah,
because
like
then
guys, thinking off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. And I just think the way we're moving with everything that's coming out now, we're just going to have to grow with what's going on. So Fish and Game Commission across the United States, start putting more freaking fish in if you're worried this bad about it. I'm sorry, that just...
Or like we talked about, crack down on the over limits a little bit more, and maybe I don't know. But in order to do that, now you need more DNR or conservation officers, and which means more money, which means taxes go up. It's
taxes don't. Your hunting and fishing license are going to go up.
True. Well, they'd find a way to raise the taxes too. It would be they wouldn't call it a tax. They'd call it a.
Do you guys have a recreational tax in your state?
I don't know. I don't pay attention.
If you buy a boat, like in several states, you buy fishing poles.
Yep.
Part of that tax goes to that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Goes to that state for their fish and game laws. I didn't know if you guys had the same thing or not.
Look, when it comes to taxes and things like that, I grab some KY, I bend over, and I just take it. Because what are you gonna do? There's not much you can do. All right. So what I kind of want to do now is, since we've gotten into this, because you've brought up a couple things that are going to be on what I want to share with. So let's hop over to some media. And I want to pull up, let's see if I can pull this off. So Joker sent me a picture of his new boat and what it looks like. But so I wanted to share that with everybody. And there it is. Look at that. I mean, if you're not catching fish, if you're on that boat with Joker and you're not catching fish, there is something wrong. I joke that's not Joker, so that's actually Red's fishing boat right there. Red's fishing from Twitch. That's his boat. That's what his boat kind of looks like.
Oh my god!
And that's not even hardly a joke. That is kind of what his boat looks like.
Oh.
And I can't take credit for that joke. That was a buzzard joke, and I thought it was pretty funny, so I was going to use it. But is this the world that we're about to go into? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, you're not cool unless you have 17-inch graph monitors on your boat in 7 different places. You know, the electronics alone are worth $60,000 on half these boats.
Pretty soon you're going to see 42-inch monitors on top of boats, you know?
Or let's I just asked this question, the Johnny Carson, when he'd wear the thing and he'd put the envelope up to his head, Karnak. What if Karnak sees a future where you don't even need the screen? What if you didn't need the Livescope screen and you could still see the Livescope, everything that's going on? What if we lived in that world?
Something on your hat and it would show like a screen in front of your face.
Uh-oh.
And it opened.
What did I break?
Oh no, he broke it.
Broke something.
He can't hear. He just watched Lexus. He's pushing buttons, chat.
I am pushing buttons.
Oh, you can hear me now. Good. You didn't. I'm glad you couldn't hear him a minute ago.
Why isn't this pulling up the?
You got your OBS brought up, or your streaming.
Well, right. Okay. Can I? What if I do that? Okay. This is all right. That's all right. We're gonna fix this right now.
That's a beautiful picture right there.
No, isn't it?
Can I suggest something for next week, please?
Yeah.
Can we change our border to a different color?
What would you like?
I don't know. I mean, I think Maybe like my muscles on there or something around the border. You see the muscles?
There we go. There we go. That's what I've been trying to pull up. Jeepers creepers. So there's a couple different. I don't want us to watch the whole video. And this is from Jay Siemens' YouTube channel. Check him out. ! Jay Siemens gets you a link to his channel at Jay Siemens on YouTube. He does a ton of stuff, right? He's one of the main guys. I would say he's very well known. But check this out.
Today we're going ice fishing with AR glasses.
Can anyone else hear me?
Casting my Livescope to my glasses. It's crazy, absolutely crazy.
Is it because Maximus has pulled up twice?
I don't know. Or do you have our stream up? I don't know.
No, I don't.
Well, now we got to start over.
I don't know what's going on, but I am not. I don't have any stream.
Oh, wait. Oh, hell, I don't know. Maybe I'll try it. Let's try this. I muted you for a second. Let's see if this works.
Today we're going ice fishing with AR glasses. I'm casting my Livescope to my glasses. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. This is everything I've dreamed of. We got AR.
So right there, you don't even need the screen, the monitor anymore, and we can just watch on our glasses. Let's check these out further. A couple more clips.
So one thing they do come with, which some shades don't, is they have this little blackout clip on the front. So if you're like laying in bed and want to watch a movie, you can use this little blackout piece. But basically, this is the glasses. They look like shades from the front. The one thing I've noticed with these shades is they have big nose pieces because you need to keep your face off of it a bit. And then right there are the two screens, you might say. This top piece, that's where all the computing happens. That's where the mini projector is, and then it shoots it on the top part there. So there's a couple buttons on the bottom. One can adjust the brightness of your screen, and one can adjust how dark your shades are. So you can actually make your shades darker or lighter accordingly. But pretty cool. They're powered by USB-C, so I will need to plug them into my phone. And they've got speakers in the back. So when you're listening or watching a show or whatever, you can hear it, but other people can't because it's right beside your ear. So anyways, enough talking about the glasses. We're gonna get it hooked up to the Livescope.
Okay, a couple more.
Or you'd need your buddy at the graph and he'd have to be like,
this is what it looks like.
Okay, you're close, yeah, a little further. The fish kind of disappeared, so that's not ideal, but I think they're in the vicinity. Look at this. When I was doing some research online, the other thing is based on how this screen is set up on your face, the distance and the size, it is equal to a 130-inch TV screen. Think about that, 130-inch TV screen this is equal to.
Think about that. What else we got here?
Line's getting tangled and I don't know what's happening. Like I think there's knots around my rod tip right now. I feel like such an old man. I remember when we were fishing with paper graphs and it printed out all your data. Back in my day, we lined up the trees to find our fishing spots. All right, lots of fish 50 feet out that way. Carpeting the bottom. 50, 60 feet. We'll try it again. We'll see if I can get my jig out there. I think I'm a little bit off my line. Oh no, no, that's pretty good. No fish right now, but I know we're close. I'm just looking into the heavens when I scan. Now they're all back over there. They're moving. They're definitely getting scared by the noise. This is wild. This is what I dreamt of. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, I was saying there's gonna be a day where you can look around, and I think that's the next. If, you know, Garmin, Lowrance, Humminbird, if you're watching this, the tech that you need is when you turn, the deucer is looking wherever you look, or it's a 360 type deal. I think there's some opportunity for something like that, but if you could look and it would just pan to wherever you're looking. There's a fish on me. Come on. 2 of them. We're gonna get one.
All right, I gotta unmute you. Hold on, let me unmute you. Gotta find you first. There we go. Can I hear you?
All right. Am I
Okay.
echoing still?
Nope, you're good. You're good. Tested it myself.
All right.
So it's look, we're talking about banning 360 imaging, and they're already moving on to the next thing of this product. And you want to go back to what you were talking about at the very beginning. So much money. There is so much money involved. I don't see any way this is ever going to get passed. And if it does, it's going to be, I'd see it getting overturned. I do. But imagine that, like, you don't even need the screen. And now you talk about, okay, now I'm going to kind of lean into the unfair. Is Livescope unfair? Is it too much of an advantage? What you're able to do ice fishing here with those glasses, you can drill your hole, put your transducer down, and you say, like he said, oh, I see fish 30 feet that way. So now he can walk over there, drill another hole, and start fishing. He didn't even have to bring his live scope with. He can still see everything right in his glasses. And now he can hole hop all over the place. And all he has to, if he wants to change direction, now he's got to go move the live scope or the transducer so it's showing. But talk about an advantage. And like he was saying, and I wanted to highlight that part where he was like, I want to be able to turn my head. And when I turn my head this way, the transducer turns. And as I'm turning my head, the technology in my glasses is talking to that transducer, and that transducer is turning and following me.
Do you know what's going to happen then? After that comes out, then Buzzard's going to order an AI to go out and fish in the lake while he sits at home and watches it on a video while the AI catches his fish and brings them home to him.
Yeah, he's going to buy a robot boat and a robot fisherman, and he doesn't have to leave. And then all of those fishing rods he has, what's he going to do with them?
How many fishing rods does Buzzard have?
I mean, I don't want to call a guy out, but I would say Buzzard, the count of Buzzards, 16 my ass. You might have 16 in the corner of your room that you're in right now. I would guess, and I don't know the answer to this, but my best guess would be somewhere between 125 and 200. That's my best guess.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you guys were always teasing about that.
No.
I've heard this conversation with you and Joker about Buzzard. I didn't know he had that many fish.
Yeah, no, I'm no longer allowed to go to Cabela's with him. Because he's going, you go to Cabela's with Buzzard, he's buying 2 rods and probably a reel. And he's going to talk you into at least 1 rod and at least 1 reel. Yeah, he has a problem. It's like an intervention, but it's not with alcohol. It's with buying fishing gear.
Yeah. Oh my Lord.
I love him to death, but yeah, he's a terrible influence on me.
You could send me at least one of those rods and reels. You know, it'd be nice. Just be nice to me. You know.
He says he's really good at making poor decisions.
Yeah, I guess he does. He collects dust. That's what I heard. I heard there's an inch of dust on top of all of his fishing poles.
But okay, so I could see where. But what do you do? What do you do unless you ban that type of sonar? What do you do? And this guy says, "This is the future, baby."
And
this is where we're at.
It's going to keep. And he's probably right. There will be the day that you turn your head and that will look wherever you're looking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It absolutely will. And I honestly don't know if I'm excited for that day to come or I'm
hate
scared.
To see the cost of it, though.
Well, those glasses.
I think that cost is going to be huge for the transducer to be able to do that. You know
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, those freaking glasses.
Yeah, but there's got to be a system that transpawns to them glasses, correct? So that's where the money's going to be.
You can already buy like a gimbal, and streamers are using it right now, where you can put your camera, your phone in the gimbal. And as you walk back and forth, like a lot of the IRL or the cookie, like a lot of the cooking streamers, baking streamers are using it. You can walk around your kitchen or walk around, and that camera is following you. The technology is already there. Now it's just tying it to, or putting it in the motherboard of the unit and getting the two to talk back and forth via Bluetooth, which they're already talking back and forth with Bluetooth. It literally is just a matter of time before that is happening. And who knows what else is coming? I can't even imagine what's next. And is that where this debate is going? Is it, where do you draw the line? Or can you draw the line? Do you draw the line? Is there a line to be drawn? I don't know. I don't think we have the answers. And maybe time will tell, but time is now. And Wisconsin, going back to the topic at hand, is Wisconsin going to do this? Here's my personal thoughts on Livescope. I don't own one. I have no desire to own one. Now, if Garmin is listening, or Humminbird or Lowrance, anybody that has these 360 imaging, call us. If you want to sponsor us, call us. I'll take one. If you're going to give me one, I'll take one. I'll go use it.
Anyone will take it.
Yeah, I'll use it and maybe enjoy it. But I got to tell you, I have used a Livescope twice, once this year, and it took some of the fun that I was having and have always had with fishing. It took it away. And it took it away because part of the reason I enjoy fishing is especially ice fishing. I'm sitting there in a fish house having a good time with friends or whatever, or by myself. Don't take that the wrong way. And I didn't have to look at my bobber. I didn't, because I can see on the screen if there's a fish coming at me, or to the side, or from this side. So if my bobber moves, I didn't really get a whole lot of excitement going, because I can look at the screen and be like, nothing there. And after the weekend, I was like, I don't know, man. I like having that element of surprise. Like, poof, there goes the bobber, without having a fair warning that a fish was coming. And I could get ready, like, I'm watching it. Because you're watching the whole thing. And this is kind of going back to that debate of side imaging and down imaging. That Livescope you're watching that fish literally swim up to your bait and following it up and down. And you can see the tail moving. What's the fun in that? It's a video game. And this guy did say that when he's looking on those glasses, it's literally, you're playing a video game. And if I wanted to play a video game, I would stay at home and play Fortnite. Yeah. But I don't want to stay home and play Fortnite. I want to go fishing, and I want to have fun, and I want to be surprised when I get a bite to try to catch a fish. So personally, I'm not going to run out and get one. I don't see myself getting one. And that has really nothing to do with the cost. I could go buy, like you was talking about your Humminbird. You can go get a Helix 12. What's that run? $7,000 right now?
Yeah.
$5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, somewhere around there.
And here's the question: is it really worth that $7,000?
Well, it's a bigger screen.
I know, but is it worth that to you to go out and fish with that bigger screen?
Absolutely not. Maybe to somebody, elderly. We have a few of those in our chat.
Not in the show.
No, not here. We're spring chickens, but
that's right.
I think about it. I think, it's like those phones. When you get your grandfather the phone with the buttons that are like the size of an apple.
Yep.
That's what it kind of reminds me of. Getting those big 12-inch screens. What the hell do you need a 12-inch screen for on your boat? I see that, and I see that's just something that I'm going to break easier because it's bigger.
Yeah, and what do you get for that with that new system? What do you get different than you do with The other ones. I mean, what besides the screen? What do you get?
Nothing. I can't imagine anything. I mean, touchscreen, but you can get touchscreens less on 7-inch screens or 9-inch screens. You don't need a 12-inch screen. I don't know. I assume I've never looked because, like I said, I ain't paying no 50 cents for no Coke. I ain't paying no $6,000 for fishing electronics or $5,000. It ain't happening. Right. It's fishing. I'm not making money fishing. I'm not on the pro circuit. So I don't have to spend that kind of stupid money on electronics.
Right.
But segue, talking tournaments, Livescope 360 imaging in tournaments. Should they be banned in tournaments? I think it's a different conversation than banning them outright across the entire state in all of the state's waters. Do you agree? He's nodding his head yes, he agrees.
Yeah, I do agree.
It's a different ball game because there's a lot of money on the line.
Yeah.
And it's either, and I go back to the steroids in baseball. Either let everybody take steroids or get rid of them in baseball. Either let everybody use the same electronics or get rid of that electronic if it's giving somebody that much of a severe advantage over somebody else that doesn't have it, then get rid of it.
But I want to hear what the advantage is. I think they would have to make their case of what that advantage is.
Of the advantage of having them?
Yes.
Well, I would assume you're able to target specific fish a lot easier.
Oh, I'm sure you can. I'm just saying I would want to hear that argument before they do that.
And it's okay. So we got Joker that says they may be in tournaments, right? Lake Fork had the biggest bags ever, and the Muskie Trail is saying that the top peeps were using it.
Well,
yeah?
I think I heard today, too, that the Muskie tournaments are actually discussing having a ban on these also.
Yep. And Weathercop saying a handful of walleye tournaments are on Lake Winnebago in Wisconsin have already banned the use. And I have an easier time listening to the idea of banning them for a tournament than just outright for everyday average Joe anglers like us. You can give me 5 Livescopes. I'm probably going to get skunked either way.
Right.
Either way. Like you still have to catch the fish. And I mean, so do the pros, but I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line. They do. And if my thing is, if it's a competition, that's where I would say, okay, let's talk about either how do we make it more fair across the board, or not. But again, is it really a discussion? Because which pro fisherman does not have a Livescope in their boat right now? It has to be less than 1% that doesn't have it, right? Has to be.
I have no idea. I don't know. This is like the last year is all I've been hearing about is this Livescope. And now, after a year that has been really advertised, now they're talking about banning it. So I think we are barking up a dead tree. And I think
for sure
they do it for tournaments just because they're trying to make it fair across the board. When money's involved in tournaments, people do some weird shit. Look what they did in Erie, putting all them weights inside the walleyes.
Yep.
You know what? Why even mess with it? So I don't know. I don't know what it's going to end up doing.
And Buzzard brings up he made a comment in our chat. And again, for everybody watching later on YouTube, we are live on Twitch under Cast and Camo every Sunday night. I think tournaments should be based on skill, not electronics. I don't disagree, but if everybody has the same electronics and everybody has the same ability to learn to use or how to use that electronics, and you're on the same body of water, are you comparing apples to apples there? So does it truly matter? They're going to be more efficient, but again, like my point at the very beginning, whether you catch those fish in 2 hours or you catch those fish in 8 hours, you're still catching the same amount of fish. If you catch your limit, if you catch your bag of 5, you're catching your bag of 5, whether that's over 2 hours or 5 hours, you still have a bag of 5. That Livescope's not going to put the biggest bass on your line. right?
Well, it depends on whether you drop the bait in front of that biggest one that's on the Livescope.
Well, yeah, but that again. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm trying to go back. I'm purposely playing the fence and hopping on each side. But that's where Livescope in a tournament, I think, would be unfair because it's a lot easier to find those bigger fish.
Right. And it would be.
It would be. And I don't think you can really deny it. You still need the skill to catch them, but it's becoming who has the skill to fish and who has the skill, Luna, and who has the skill to read and use the electronics. You need both now. But, and again, not to sound like a broken record, I don't think it's going away. I don't think it's going away. So Kelly Cakes is in the chat right now. Friend of ours, friend of the show. I would love to know if Kelly had a tool that made cake decorating go way quicker and more efficient, if that would make her buy that piece of equipment. I'm going to say yes. But again, now we got money involved, right? That's a job. There's money involved.
You mean like put the icing on and all the decoration where she wouldn't have to do it? She could just stand there with her hands folded when she's streaming doing the cakes. She wouldn't have to do all that stuff, squeezing it up.
She could just make the pretty flowers.
Would she do that?
I tried really hard to make a connection between cake decorating and Livescope, and I don't think there really is any good way to compare or align the two. But
she ain't going to answer you anyway now.
No.
You just scared her off.
So here's a question. Does using a Livescope make you a better angler? Let Luna bark.
No,
Let Luna
it's
bark.
driving me nuts. Pam's walking through the door. I apologize.
No, you're good. So, and I'm seeing a lot of answers in our chat. No. Does Livescope make someone a better angler? I have to think about that question. But I'm looking at it from a different lens. I'm looking at it from does it make me a better angler because I am able to learn more about what the fish are doing, how they're reacting to certain baits? That has to make you a better angler. The more information you have, the smarter you are. The smarter you are, the better you are at whatever that is that you're doing. And if it's angling, it's fishing, the more you learn about those fish, you should be better.
Yeah. Can I answer that question?
Yes, please.
All right, Kelly. $20,000. Is it easy to use? Yes. Can I leave it unattended? Yes. How much maintenance does it need? None. Can I show a worker on how to use it to help me? Yes, you can have as many workers as you want to teach them how to use it. And she has so many other questions. So there you go, Kelly. It's all taken care of.
Yeah, unfortunately, Kelly, just as we're coming up to bring that technology to you, Kentucky is already putting something on their legislation to ban that equipment. So get wrecked, nerd. You don't get it.
She said it costs too much.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, there's a big cost to any of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But no, okay, seriously, I tend to agree. Does Livescope make somebody a better angler? No, because you still have to catch fish. But again, to my point, depends on which way you look at it. Is it making you a better angler because you're learning more about the fish that you're fishing? Because you can see a lot more than you can without it. Maybe.
Yeah.
That may not equate to being a better anything. I don't know. Another bottom line question. Does it help you catch more fish?
I think it puts you over more fish. That's the only thing that I think it does. My opinion of it.
Yeah. See, and I'm again, for everybody watching now or watching later, I'm throwing out questions that I think people should be thinking about or asking to have this discussion. Does it help you catch more fish? It kind of depends on, again, the way you look at it, because you're able to find them quicker and find them easier. Yeah. I mean, that would help you catch more fish. But again, then I go back to my point from the beginning. Why does it matter? You can only catch so many fish in a day, right? Forget the topic or the part about the guides. Like, that's, to me, that's a whole different, it's part of the discussion, but it's a whole different division of the discussion. You still have to catch the fish, and you can still only catch your limit. Kelly, get over the decorating of cakes machine. Kentucky's already banned it. It's already banned. You get to have no fun.
No. Poor Kelly. Would it make a difference if it was only $1,000, Kelly?
Yeah, we'll get you a sponsorship.
I mean, if that machine was $1,000, would it be worth it to you?
I'm the one that brought up her hopes and dreams for this amazing cake decorating machine, and now I'm the one pulling it away so quickly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Overall, it's an interesting debate, and especially it's interesting because I just don't care. I really don't have a strong feeling either way. If they ban it, okay, life goes on. If they don't ban it, okay, I get to use it. You know, it really doesn't make a difference to me.
So if they ban it, my question is, what happens to all these units that are out there? That would be my biggest thing.
Supply and demand.
Let me ask you, Vexus, if you went out and bought a car today from the a car lot, brand new vehicle, you bought it and you're driving it around for a week, and the state of Minnesota bans that vehicle forever being on the road again, do you have a legal recourse? Would you try to find a legal recourse?
No.
I mean,
For
you
what?
just lost $70,000.
Well, $70,000 is a lot different than $3,000.
I'm talking about a vehicle. I mean, $3,000 is a lot to a lot of people. You
Oh,
got
100%. It's $3,000 is a lot to me. It's a lot of money.
So, I mean, I can't see them banning it now. I really can't, because there's probably a lot of people in Wisconsin that are using them. The tournaments can't.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's part of their procedure.
You ever seen
whatever they want?
You ever seen the movie Willy Wonka, the original?
Yeah.
Okay. You see all these little kids frantically running around the city, going into the chocolate stores and trying to buy up all the chocolate. If Wisconsin bans these types of sonars, Facebook Marketplace is going to be like Willy Wonka. It's going to be people frantically trying to sell their Livescopes, and the price of those Livescopes are going to come down. And then finally, the people of Minnesota will have 1 foot over Wisconsin. Finally. And we'll be able to snatch up and buy all of those Livescopes for dirt cheap because they can't use them. I am fine. I'm settled. I am 100% for the ban of 360 sonars in Wisconsin for that reason. I'm joking. I still wouldn't buy one. If I wouldn't buy one. But, and Joker says, then Minnesota bans them. Maybe. Like, again, that's the slippery slope here. Where do you draw the line?
You know someone that has one, correct? You've
yeah.
Guys with one.
Yes.
Before.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think that person would say if they banned that and he could never use it?
They'd be pissed. I would be pissed too. I would be pissed too. If I owned one right now, I would 1000% be saying, absolutely not. You're out of your mind. You can't, if you own one, I'd question your sanity if you own one and you're for the ban. That would kind of make no sense. But I mean, there might be somebody out there that has buyer's remorse, or I don't know.
Yeah.
It can be a slippery slope. I'm almost as intrigued as to what they thought was going to happen when they put that on the questionnaire. And I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of see where this goes. I have a feeling I have a feeling I know where it's going to go. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I don't think they're going to get the support on the questionnaire. I don't think it's going to even get to the legislation to even attempt to be put in as a law. I think there's a better chance of opening up a wolf hunting season than getting Livescope banned in any state. But who am I to talk? We're about to ban frickin' TikTok. What's going on with this world? I don't understand what's happening with this world. I don't. It's crazy. But yeah, walrus hunting is in full swing. That's what we're going to be. There ain't no electronics out there going to help you with some walrus hunting. Except for my amazing walrus calling ability. Yeah, Joker says it right there. America. Bears don't need Livescope. True. Yeah, that's nature. They know where to go. I don't know, man. I went to the Sportsman show yesterday, and we were talking about it on the way to the show, and I thought, you know what? This is a good debate to talk about, because it's happening right now, right next door to me, north of you, but could it be the start of an avalanche? I think not. I think we're onto something. We're either on something or we're onto something, and I think there's just too much money wrapped up in all of it to have any legs whatsoever. And I think the science and the statistics don't support it. If I think I would have a different outlook on it if somebody from the Wisconsin DNR could show a direct correlation to the overall population of fish directly tied to the use of Livescope and 360 imaging. If there was actual science and actual data that supports the ban, okay, now let's talk. But if it's just, we think it's going to hurt the population, well, who cares?
I'm just afraid what's going to end up happening. If they do have a thing to talk, it'll be nothing but yelling and screaming back and forth across out. I've seen this happen so many times in conservation states that have open public meetings. People will just start yelling and screaming, and they got to shut the whole thing down, and they don't get nowhere instead of having a rational discussion about it.
Right. And to the point of the dude that we were watching before we went live, it's this side and this side, and they're just doing this right now. There's no, that looks bad. Like
there's
that.
no talking about it. Yeah. There's no talking about it.
Don't do
all.
this.
I'm right and they're wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to be able to have a conversation. And again, like if one side has direct evidence, okay, that should be pretty strong part of the conversation. But when it's just like Joker's saying, when it's just based on your feelings, what are we? A psychiatrist? Are we all going to a psychiatrist now?
Yeah.
Yeah. And where do you draw the line? Can't use certain color lures. They're too good. The fish love it too much. Can't use it. It's going to decimate the fish population. How do you know? I have a feeling it's going to. That's not good enough for me. But if there was science, I'd definitely listen. Anywho, that's the debate. So what do we think? Overall, in chat, if you're watching on YouTube, come join our chat on Sunday nights on Twitch, Cast and Camo. Everybody that's in chat, Put a 1 in chat if you think Wisconsin's actually going to pass this ban of Livescope. Put a 1 in chat. Put a 2 in chat if you think they're off their rocker. Here's me running.
I think the only thing you're going to see is maybe a ban in tournaments. And that'll be because the tournament people decided to do that, not the state.
Yeah. And I think that would be a good happy medium. I do. I would be content with that. Now, if I'm but I can say that because I am not a tournament fisherman. I don't fish tournaments. So, but going back to Buzzard's point from earlier, if you're fishing tournaments, if there's money on the line, that should be based off of skill, not skill to use electronics.
Right.
You have to go find the fish. That's part of the challenge. And when that challenge becomes not a challenge anymore because you can go to a spot, look, nope, go to a spot, look, nope, go to a spot, fish, caught one. I would think that'd take half the fun away from the challenge of the tournament. I don't know. Yeah, and Cheryl brings up the guide part. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I don't know enough about it to really have any sort of discussion on it, but I would assume there would be some way to find some happy medium there, whether it's, but if you can't lower their limits, because then people aren't going to go out on guides. Now they're out of business. They're not getting business. I don't know. I would take it away from guides. If guides are keeping fish, I don't know. I can definitely see how that would hurt a population of fish in a certain area in a hurry. So what do? I don't know.
It's going to be interesting to see how this turns out.
It is. I'm excited. We got I don't know how quickly they come out with their results.
That's what I was going to say. When do these questions have to be in by?
They have their meetings. Each county has like a meeting on April 8th, and it's to review all of the questions. And then April 10th through the 12th, you can go online and fill out your questionnaire and put in your comments. And I would assume it takes, because it's not like a rate 5 through 1. 5 strongly agree, 1 definitely don't or disagree. I don't think it's like that. I think it's actually, I don't know though. I don't live in Wisconsin. I've never taken one.
I'm just assuming they're wanting to get this done before summer.
It's not going to get done. So Weathercott, he's in Wisconsin.
Make a decision before summer whether they're going to take it to their legislative branch or not.
He says typically several months before the results come out. So probably June, July, maybe, I'd guess. I would say if it gets support, it would probably go to the state legislature for probably the 2025 or later season. That would be my guess. And that's if they get the support, like Weathercott's saying. If they get the support, then it goes to the state to choose. And even if it gets to the state, I
think
don't
the
see
big
it happening.
Going to end up hammering them when it gets to that part. Yeah.
Too much money involved. If it's going to take a year or two, well, by everybody's feelings, in 2 years, the fish population is going to be screwed anyway. So fuck it. Might as well just let people use it then. Playing devil's advocate, but I don't know. Kelly says, I think that the companies that are selling this have opinions also. Oh, I'm sure they do.
It's not opinions. It's this, Kelly.
Yeah,
that's where
their opinions is the money that they're pumping into their lobbyists. Yeah, and their money is going to talk big time. I don't even think it's going to get to that point. I don't think people are going to support it. We should be looking at other things, in my opinion. We should be looking at other things to put resources towards than electronics. But that's just me. Any other thoughts on this topic from you?
No, not really. Because I mean, honestly, I'm in the position where I don't really care if we use it or we don't use it. I really don't see a major harm. I can see, like, watching a couple of these videos that me and Todd watched tonight. I can see the pluses and the minuses. The things I didn't think about was the bait companies that are producing these lures because of this system. So that's going to put even more money on top of them legislatures that are trying to make these decisions. I don't know. And where does it stop?
Yeah, Kelly brings up a good point that and we had this discussion today talking about deer hunting and deer licenses.
Yeah, that's exactly
less and less
right.
people are going out there and less fishing licenses are being sold. The trend is going down because the younger generation would much rather sit on the Xbox than to go out into the fresh air. Now, I'm not one to talk. I stayed in my house for the last 22 days straight, personal record, hashtag winning. But, if I could go fishing and hunting, yeah, I'd be out there, right? But that does play a factor into it where does that balance out over the course of the next years? But then what if there's an uptick in getting kids out there and which we should all be doing, get kids out into the outdoors, out fishing, out hiking, out hunting, get them involved. Get them involved. That's what I'd say. All right. Well, I got nothing else, man. I was thinking we'd either go this long or we're going to go, like you said, 2 hours. It could have went one way or the other.
Yeah, I really thought we would get into a big turmoil in here because I figured we'd get certain people in here that do like to use this, but we have no one in our chat room that has a Livescope.
Oh, really? Yeah, I guess nobody fessed up to it.
Right. No, Joker, you just stay over there with your old man Kane and your never mind.
Joker's in the fighting mood
today. I know he is.
He's all fired up. But I mean, I think in summation, I think most of the people, if anybody from Wisconsin is paying attention, if you, what do they call them? See, I'm not good with politics. What do they call them when they take these polls before an election? What are those called? What the hell? Drawing a blank. Quick polls, right? It's, whatever they're called. Somebody will put it in chat and I'll look like an idiot again, but not a preliminary poll.
Your preliminary hearings, what she's thinking about.
Probably, yeah. The hell, Kelly. If this is an early poll for what is about to come, I would say, based on what I was reading in our chat tonight and thinking through it between the two of us, yeah, it's straw poll. I didn't see really anybody fighting on the pro ban side.
No.
And maybe there are a few and they're just like, I'm shutting up. I'm not saying anything because I'm going to get lambasted, which you wouldn't have if anybody was out there thinking that. I would have very much welcomed somebody to be on that side.
Yeah.
More like I was trying to play both sides. I'm mostly on the don't ban it because the hell, it just seems like a silly thing. But not silly. I get the basis. I do get the basis. I must be invisible. RC Medic was for the ban. You were for the ban. That's that's right. You were for the ban. But anywho, well, that is that. What do we have? We've got next week. What do we have next week? Next week we have something pretty cool. I'm going to be very honest up front. Very honest. I don't know how next week is going to go. I don't. The topic is going to be super interesting. I think the dude is going to be fantastic to talk to, but he's in a pretty remote, he's like whiskey, but he doesn't have Starlink. So I think he's going to be doing the show from his car, from a parking lot somewhere in the town that he has to drive to get cell reception. I'm going to touch base with him and be like, don't you have the interweb? Like, do you actually not have the internet at your house or wherever you live? And he might not. I don't know for sure. So we'll figure that out. But the topic is flint knapping and arrowheads and things like that. And he's amazing. His website, you'll see, guys. I already ordered one of his flint knapped arrowheads out of an agate. It is gorgeous. It is awesome. So I think that'll be a fun discussion. And let's see, do I have the quick ability to even get to our website? What's our website again? Oh, it's castandcamotv.com.
Yeah, first of all, can I interrupt you?
Sure.
He is not like whiskey. I mean, this guy is a lot nicer looking than whiskey.
He is, and I haven't even seen him.
Yeah.
I haven't seen his picture.
He's got to be nicer looking than whiskey.
Yeah, you would think so.
That's right.
Wow. All right. So tonight was our Livescope being banned discussion. Next week, arrowheads and flint knapping with Mike Cook. If you guys want to check his website out already, I got to fix the time. I don't know why it says 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. I got to fix that. But on the website under schedule, I already have his website listed there. The 31st is Easter. So no show on Easter. Plus, I'm going to be in South Carolina on a work trip. So that kind of works out. April 7th, we've got Wild Bill from Texas Select Seasonings all up in this biatch. April 14th, we've got this dude's going to blow everybody's mind. His name is Rick Spicer, and he gives PB a run for his money on coolest, like top-notch beard. But he's a survival instructor. So I think that, and he does a whole bunch of stuff. I think he's going to be a return guest because he owns a couple fishing companies and all sorts of things. But the first reason I wanted to have him on was survival instructors. And who else we got coming up? I don't have for sure dates for these two. They're either going to flip flop at the end of April or early May. One is a horse veterinarian who works at horse tracks. I think that's going to be super interesting. And then we have, I don't know how else to say it. We have an artificial inseminator coming on the show. And Chief doesn't know, or Eric doesn't know, that I've already volunteered him for some, live testing. We're going to see what kind of being we can come up with. The guy in Montana got off scot-free, right? Not. But yeah, I think that'll be cool. It's interesting market, interesting topic, and a lot of different avenues to go down that. So, and we continue to work on trying to get guests, and we'll have more. We've got more coming down. My list of people that I'm waiting to hear back on to get a date is growing by the day. But that is, so next week we've got flint knapping and arrowheads. And I know you love to hunt for arrowheads.
Oh yeah. I think we need to get Bortz back here after his big thing coming up here soon anyway. He's ready to go bear hunting too. He's got his tag. He's going to be spring bear hunting.
Must be rough.
Yeah. It's got to be tough.
Good old Bortz. Is Bortz in here tonight?
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah, I knew you when you said Bortz's big thing. I knew that Sarah's ears were going to perk up real quick.
Oh yeah, settle down, Sarah. Relax, Sarah.
Yep. Her fever just had come down from being sick, and now it just spiked right back up, I think. Yeah. All right. What? So next week, that's who we're going to see. We're going to talk to Mike Cook, and I'm just giving a fair warning. I don't know how the connection is going to be. I'm going to try to get with him this week. Just giving everybody a little bit of a warning that it might be hopefully good, but we might have to fight through some connection things a little bit next week, but we'll see what happens. All right. So everybody, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being a part of the discussion, Eric. I know you weren't feeling the greatest tonight, so thanks for sticking it out.
Yeah.
And Luna, damn it, Luna.
That was Pam's fault. She come home right in the middle of the show.
Oh, Pam. All right. Well, we're gonna head out, and we're gonna see everybody next Sunday night. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.